Welcome back to the channel, guys. Now, as the thumbnail suggests, I have a little bit of a pickle, and it's got to do with this steering wheel and this seat. Some of you are probably going to say I told you so, as far as cab length, but let's run through what my issue is. Let's get into it. All right, guys, if you haven't already subscribed, if you're watching these videos and you're getting this free entertainment for nothing, the least you can do is subscribe. So, the cab length I'm happy with. I'm actually really happy with it. 50 mil increase here, and it ended up, when I've had that panel correct, it's an 80 mil increase in the door, which I think's, you know, on par. Obviously I would have stopped and changed it, but yeah, also considering that the roof will be up here too, I think the cab proportions are correct, or so we're moving on from that. That's what it's going to be. Now, you swing the door open. Now I've chucked a seat in, hopefully the seats that I will run, because they're Mickey Mouse. And I've also got the steering column and factory GQ steering wheel on there, which is smaller than G60 one as far as diameter goes. Now, you can probably already see my problem. If I go to sit in here, yeah, I can do it, but it's pretty tight as far as steering. Like, I'm going to be tight for room as far as pedals, but that is more than enough room for me. It's part of an old vehicle, right? What I'm not happy with is this. That's doable, sure, but when I have the G60 dash in here, I'm not running GQ dash, I'm running a G60 dash. When I merge that in here, this is going to look fucking stupid, like beyond stupid. I've taken some, I'll get you a shot in a minute, but because I've got the rest of that cab out there with the dash and steering wheel in it. But from measurements go, the center of steering wheel, and these are pretty crude measurements, but we're looking at from basically windshield, because I can get reference points, excuse me, from both of these. Looking from windshield to center of steering wheel, you're looking at about 450 to GQ. Now the GQ dash comes out and makes this all look like it should. But because my proportions are different because of the outside shell, this is where the back wall is going to stay. So I'm happy with that. So to get this looking right in here, the steering wheel from windshield to factory G60 is about 170 mil back further, and it's also up higher. I think this seat could come up a fraction. I think as far as visibility goes, it just feels like I need to be another 20 or 25. And believe me, changing your seating height by 25 mil is a fair bit in a car. It does give you a better, I know that from experience, because when I put the Schulmans in the GU, I feel like I can full drive and wheel off-road better because I've got a better vision. And that has jacked it up about 30 mil. Anyway, back on track. To get this steering wheel back 150 odd mil would get my seat going from the GU again, would get my seat and steering wheel in the right position for me. Not only that, but I would like to bring it up a bit as well. Now, that involves steering column alterations, right? Now, because I've moved, let's get out of here. This is the problem. Now, because I've moved all my body mounts back 175 mil, so this here, if you've been playing along at home for a while, you would know this anyway, but for people that are just joining on and whatever, my body mounts were all 175 mil further forward. This is the factory location of it here, pretty well at the front of the chassis. They've all been moved back. The first, second, and third row have all been moved back that same increment, 175 mil. The problem with the steering column and that measurement, so transmission and engine mounts have also been moved back that far, but the problem with that is the steering box does not move back that same amount because it needs to, as far as the geometry for front steering, the bracing for the chassis. It's not possible that the steering box would interfere with my my coil seat, my coil hats, whatever you want to call them. So that needs to stay where it is, which means because the body's come back 175 mil, all of a sudden my my steering column will be 175 mil too short. Not a problem. That can be altered and whatever down the track. I'm getting this information from the engineer. I'm not just winging it. So now that everything's moved back, that's too short. Back to the cab. So the section of steering column that I'm short is from the uni joint. The steering column's basically 2 points, right? Like a drive shaft. You've got a uni joint, and that can it changes the angle of your steering column basically. So that uni joint forward needs to be lengthened, but the uni joint backward, so in cab, needs to be shortened. Now, I've got absolutely no problem shortening it as far as physical task to do it. I'd need to do it in a couple spots because you've got the outer column and you've got the inner actual shaft, etc., etc. So pull it apart and alter it. Not a problem at all to shorten it. Like I said, as far as actually doing it, I'm not sure about legalities. So I've taken a heap of photos, sent them off to the engineer that I'm using, waiting to hear back. But I'm not convinced. I'm not 100% certain I'm going to be able to do that. Whether it's a different steering column, I don't really know. Like I said, I don't even know if this is a completely collapsible column, or I couldn't sort of find that information online. I would imagine it would be, being the year and era of GQ. I thought it would have been in by then. Anyway, that's an answer for the engineer. But I also need to make this, if you can picture this just shortening the column, it will go 100 and whatever I need back that way, which actually drops the steering wheel lower into my lap, which is not what I want either. So I believe there's enough tilt I'm certain there's enough tilt in that uni joint to be able to shorten it and also angle it more to get the steering wheel down and away and up like a factory one, like a factory G60, sorry. So with a G60 dash, which I'm going to be putting in here, or it won't be a purist's interior, obviously, because I'm not a purist. But the dash is tiny, like it's slimline. So if this steering wheel was staying out here, it would just look horrendous. And also the instrument cluster on a G6, I've got one just here. This also wraps around the steering column, so sits, effectively there. That's where it sort of sits in a standard G60 as far as steering wheel relation. That's pretty well where it sits from factory G60 dash, which I'll show you in a second. So you can see where I can lift it and push it back in, and that will solve all my problems. I'm just hoping that I'm allowed to alter the steering column or fabricate in another one. I'm not too concerned about ignition barrel. That's an easy change. I might go something completely different in that aspect anyway. So these are the issues with modifying a vehicle, I guess. Foreseeable or not, I mean, to a degree, yes. Is it a major issue? I don't think so. It's not a ruin the outside dimensions of the cab, in my opinion, ruin, and making that bigger, which means it would be, you know, over 100mm extension in the back, which would look, in my opinion, not great, horrendous. It just wouldn't be nice. It's not the look I'm after. I'm after that authentic single cab sort of vibe. But yeah, that's where I'm at the moment. It's just a quick little update on currently I'm working on my extension. That'll probably be the next video. But yeah, I just wanted to show you what I'm going through at the moment, as far as not everything goes to plan. But that's half the joy of it, and working out the solutions to it. Yeah, sure, you could cut and shut it, but I also want this thing done properly and safely. I don't want a steering column to impale me if I have a front end collision. So that's why I'm going through. That's why you hire an engineer for these things. I'm lucky enough to have, like, at this stage, the engineer bloody good, like very good. Easy to deal with, understands what's happening, gives a shit about what it looks like as well. He was actually the guy that suggested moving everything back on the chassis so that that front wheel sits where it should as factory. So getting an engineer that cares what things look like can be difficult. So I think I've chosen a good one. But yeah, I think, yeah, no actual physical work. I just wanted to explain that in this video, and yeah, next video will more than likely be extending this rear quarter still. We still need to put this 50mm in here, so and also alter sills. And then once I've got that altered, we can start getting some actual structure back into these A-pillars, which is good because everything's held together with Clecos, and it's still, like, it's quite firm. You can swing a door off it, so it's rigid. But once that's all spot welded and all my bracing in there is actually fixed each piece, and yeah, it's going to be nice to have that just done, to have a piece welded, finished. So yeah, that'll do for this one. Like I said, no physical work, but there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes, like losing sleep, trying to nut these things out. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. See you on the next video, and enjoy yourselves.